Yo, I'm Drnkie.
I'm The Flood.
And welcome to the Fortnite Update, where we talk about all the news, esports, and patch notes related to Fortnite. This is May the 16th, is episode 35 of the podcast. Let's start the show. All right, Flood. We're going to talk about a couple of things today.
Indeed.
About a week ago, there was a season 9 patch 9, and we recorded a podcast for that.
We did.
It actually was our longest podcast to date. It was well over an hour.
It was.
We talked at length about a lot of things
with great vigor,
in-depth analysis like that. My mind was blown by the knowledge you're dropping on me.
It was our magnum opus.
Yeah, our Mona Lisa, and much like Mona Lisas of the past, for some reason the file just was corrupted. I wasn't able to produce it. I failed at my production job, and you, the audience, are suffering. You don't have the season 9 patch notes or patch reaction from the Fortnite update, and I'm sorry.
Our reaction was so passionate that it broke the file. It's our fault. It's not you, Drnkie. It's us collectively. Me, probably.
Oh,
the passion that oozed out of us was just it broke the internet.
Yeah. So to the audience who were looking forward to our reaction to season 9 and our thoughts on it, in depth. Sorry. I feel like I have failed you guys. I will think about this until the day I die on my deathbed. My hand will be clutched in the air about season 9 and what people missed out on. But we can talk about our overall reaction to the patch, in terms of...
And now we're a week in, so now we can, give you a more measured update, and we'll still talk about it. And we'll talk about maybe how we felt then and how we're feeling now.
So let's start off with that. Coming off of... Let's do like a cliff notes about how you felt about season 9 on patch day, Flood.
All right, so I was overall pretty excited. I like the new aesthetic on the new POIs. I think Tilted is cool. I don't like that it's got the wrong name. They dropped the alliteration on Tilted. It's Neo Tilted, not anything else. Techno Tilted, anything. There should be 2 T's. It doesn't make any sense. That one drives me nuts. That's unplayable. But otherwise, I like the aesthetic. I love that there's a giant statue. I want more giant statues. I don't know why. I was just talking about that the other day. I want
Can't
more
even
giant
break
statues.
Can't even break the new statue, man.
It's too cool, man. And I like the new Mega Mall. I think it's neat. You know what I mean? I don't drop there all the time, but I think it offers a high risk, high reward that those types of POIs should have. I think they're interesting. The only thing I don't like is the archways where you can't build a wall. That drives me freaking nuts. It's the worst. The new pressure plant POI is awesome. Great. It's one of my new favorite POIs to drop in general, and it's nice because it's that corner where it used to be Risky Rails, which was one of my favorite drops. And it's for the same reason. It's got a fence, which is the volcano wall in this case. It's got a fence around it, and it's got interesting movement inside of it. I like that. That's what I want out of a good POI. So I really like that area. It's really, really cool. Slipstreams are crazy and fun. They've already been updated a little bit because they've addressed that a little bit, but in terms of you can actually build into them now. If you go flying through, you'll break that build. We can talk about this later. It doesn't matter really though, because at first they were a little bit awkward to use, but overall I think they're really fun, and they provide reliable, consistent map movement all the time, which is great. You don't even need vehicles anymore. Everyone's still complaining about ballers, and I'm like, who cares? Do you even need them anymore? Like, why are you even using one anymore? You don't need them. So I like the movement. I like the feel of it, the vibe of it. I really like the new season. I think the new battle pass is a little bit on the weaker side. There's a couple skins and things that make me laugh and make me smile. There always is. But it's overall, there's not as many that I like. But other than dual axes are freaking awesome. It really is kind of a mind melt in terms of like the distance for hitting materials. I don't know why, but if my pickaxe, I feel like I can shoot longer. I don't know, it's very strange, but overall I think season 9 is one of the better seasons we've had. My only issue is that we just voted the drum gun back, and I hate the drum gun. And the bigger issue was, of course, was the pump shotgun, which I'm sure we're going to talk about all this, but I don't actually mind that the pump was gone. I had a theory at the time. I wasn't as impassioned as others about losing it. I was actually like, this might actually be good for the game. I continue to think that.
Yeah. Those are good cliff notes. Most of those points I kind of disagree with.
You disagreed with a lot more last week.
Yeah. Now I only disagree with a few of them now. So just to run like some people through my thoughts. Unlike the Flood, I am not a fan of the new POIs. I think the new Tilted, the Neo Tilted, and the Mega Mall are just horrible locations. There's something about the way they're designed. They don't feel like they have the same. It's like they're overplanned or something. Like they were overthinking it. I don't know what it is. There's just something about the vibe in them. All the sight lines are way. There's too many angles to get shot at, and
Yeah.
in Tilted specifically, everything has way too many floors. One of the things I hated about the old Tilted was the actual apartment building. I thought that had too many floors, and I thought that was the biggest problem within Tilted because it was just too deep, too many floors, too much things to go. But there was like fast ways to move around that building. I think that they have lost that. Everything is very dense, a lot of floors, not a lot of loot on all these floors either. So overall, I'm not a fan of Neo Tilted. I think they could have done a much better job. I think they've done a better job in the past. And whoever decided to run a Slipstream in the middle of that point, I get that you're some kind of genius and you thought this was going to be like the game changer that like everyone was going to like high five you for on the basketball court. But I hate the horse you rode in on, bro. Like, I do not like that thing in the city because you can't hear who's anyone. Like, so when people are in those Slipstreams, same problem around Mega Mall, but a little bit less. When people are in those Slipstreams going around the city, I have no idea what's going on. I literally have no idea where they are. I have no idea where they're landing. And it is overbearing on the people who I'm closer to inside the building. So I feel like Neo Tilted and Mega Mall are complete disasters for me.
As a quick point on that one, just I gotta address it. The thing that I will say, part of the reason I think I like those areas now is because I think that they create a very different combat than anywhere else on the map because of all the floors, because of the weird density. It's more of like, this is our urban combat area. Yeah. This is very much what this is, and it's different than any other fight. Whereas previously, Tilted, yeah, it was taller, but it was essentially the exact same. And I think that's maybe why I like it, is just because it's a different little compartment, and maybe I think that'll dissipate and have people dropping in more different areas as opposed to just everyone clunking down in Tilted because it was such a fun area. Now you might not want to be there because, again, high risk, high reward, but the ins and outs of it with the Slipstream are kind of interesting. If not, that there's the audio issue, always the audio issue.
There's always the audio issue. I just know in the apparently, which is now known as the Continental Building from this new John Wick event, at some point I ran down 3 flights of stairs before I went to another level that had loot on it. And I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, how do we have stairways that don't lead to floors? Like, it's just, you're just going down a spiral. It's just too much. It's just too big.
It's a bit confusing at first. I feel on that.
Like you said, pressure plant, a bright spot in the map. I kind of hate how I kind of liked how it used to be kind of flat in the area from retail to the old tomato. I liked how flat that was. I thought it was just a different type of combat in that situation versus, when you're running around Pleasant, there was a lot more mountainous areas. There was this kind of plains fighting where you really had to focus on your builds and stuff. But this is an improvement on the mountain, on the volcano, because I thought the volcano was horrible.
It's a huge improvement on volcano.
Yeah, I love the way the volcano, like you said, kind of wraps it around to kind of isolate it like old Risky was. It's just a really good improvement on that POI, and it seems like the people who built that one also hate not having mats in game because you can find like every mat you want there and just loot it up and leave. And
it's stacked with loot. It's stacked with mats. It's a fun place to fight. It's got great movement. It's just a great spot. I love it. Yeah. It's my favorite spot.
I was pretty I hated the pump leaving the game. I still don't know if I love it being gone. I can see the arguments where beginning one pump should have been taken out of the game. I can see those arguments. That's fine. That's cool. I just kind of I love it. You know what I mean? It's like I loved it. It's being gone. It's the same thing about the double pump being gone. It's not necessarily that I didn't recognize it wasn't overpowered or strong. It's more so I just loved the way it felt, the mechanic, the way it sounded. It's like the pump built Fortnite. The pump built Fortnite, and now it's not in the game. It feels weird to me.
The pump shotgun was the quintessential Fortnite gun. Like, some people think of the Scar as the iconic one, but that's not really what it was. The pump shotgun was Fortnite, or is Fortnite, or I guess was now, but yeah. And I agree with that. I understand that from that perspective. I just think the new shotgun, the tactical shotgun or whatever they call it, I feel like it's the fixed version of the pump, but they had to call it something new. I think this is the way it's supposed to work. I don't know. I
don't know if I can agree with that, but I see where you're coming from. I never felt more awkward in this game than when the pump got removed. It took me a solid 3 or 4 days of playing to not feel incredibly awkward in any fight I was in. I didn't know what I was doing because since the beginning, for 7, 8, 9 seasons, 8 seasons, my gameplay was shoot somebody with a pump up close and then follow it up with something else. And whether that was, from it being another pump to it being a tac shotgun to it being an SMG.
Now, your initial reaction last week, I remember, was that your trick to the meta was don't change guns, right? Like if you start with a combat shotgun, stick with the shotgun, combat shotgun. Don't switch to the SMG, like is our old muscle memory. Are you still feeling the same way about that?
I do still feel that. I think that still is the best option you have. I think that whether you pick a drum gun, a combat shotgun, or a tac shotgun, whatever you start that engagement with, run it until you run out of ammo because it's just in a weird place. The only reason that you wanted to swap in the first place from the pump is because of how long it took in between shots, right? So, and it was advantageous to take that huge shot to try and get the good damage up front, but you don't want to wait for the next one. So you would just swap. Here, everything's about, like, I guess, medium size damage. Like, I don't know how to describe it. So it's just, there's no point in swapping because you're not going to get that huge, like 120 shot off the bat,
No, I mean, and that makes a lot of sense. And I think we talked about this at length last week on the Scuffed episode. But one of our issues that we've had over time, though, is the power creep in Fortnite. And my argument against or about that, or my thought process on that was that perhaps part of the power creep was everything trying to keep up with the pump as one of the most useful items. And so maybe by getting rid of the pump, now everything else can like slow down a little bit and be a little bit more medium-ish damage, and which unfortunately, as you've pointed out, slows down fights, which leads to more third partying. But at the same time, I think maybe makes fights more interesting. It makes the loadouts potentially more interesting. In my head, I'm like, why doesn't everything just do half damage? But like, I don't know. But I mean, dead fights would take forever. But I think it's good to extend some of these fights just a slight, just a hair, and it gives you kind of that sense of double pumping almost with the new shotgun. It's not quite the same, but you get kind of that sense. It really rewards like hitting those shots if you can, because you can still do really good damage, and you can pretty much 2-tap real fast if you nail that shot right up close, right in the face. I don't know.
I come from like Fortnite suffers from this place that I've never seen in a BR, where it's like you have mid-range fights, you have short-range fights, and then you have in-your-face fights all the time because of the way like turtling and editing would work. And it's a hard thing to serve all those different masters trying to get to a comfortable place. I can see the point you're saying, maybe making the fights a little bit longer so they can play out more. My main problem with the meta that we're sitting in, which I think it's a good meta, like I don't think it's a bad meta at all, right? It's just that I think that we don't have a lot of options to heal. We don't have a lot of shields. We don't have a lot of bandages. And in this meta, like you have to take damage. You have to take damage to fight now. Whereas before you could get away with like one pumping somebody and, maybe you lose a bunch of damage, or maybe you don't lose anything at all. But now you're at a point where like, you're just going to lose damage every fight, and it's going to take longer, and people are going to third party you now, especially with the slipstreams, especially with the flying, helicopters, whatever we're calling them, the floating platforms in the air. Like you're getting third party and you don't have a lot of health to deal with it anymore.
I like that's such an interesting point that you just raised, because I generally agree. I think the meta is actually in a place where it's not in that bad of a place right now. If we just got rid of the gosh darn drum gun, it needs to be gone. But the slipstreams do present the problem that happened when we first got glider redeploy as just a utility thing. In that people are just dive bombing you constantly. Like especially if you're playing squads or something, like if you start into a fight and it's taking any amount of time, all of a sudden you're just going to hear gliders like whipping down upon you. And I know that they've talked about getting rid of Siphon because of the aggressive play. Well, everything else in the game is suggesting aggressive play. And because we don't have Siphon, as you pointed out, I'm always on the hunt for bandages or heals, always. Like that feels like what I'm doing when I play a game of Fortnite, is just looking for heals. That's 90% of what I'm doing. I'm either hunting someone or I'm trying to find heals. Like it's one of the two things. And so maybe now with this current meta, maybe we need Siphon back even more than ever, or we just really need to find a new way to bump up heals in general, just around the map. I don't know what it is. I don't know what exactly that answer is, but more heals, man.
We definitely need more heals. I would love to play this. When you're playing an arena, it's fun. Yeah. But like, I don't like to play arenas all the time because it's the arena meta. I'm not going to play that all day long.
It's just a different thing.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that, it's in a better place in the meta. We need more heals. And like, I don't know what they're doing. Just give us more heals. I don't know why there's aren't more campfires all over the place, more apples all over the place. Uh, because the biggest thing about Fortnite is they love RNG. They love putting you in weird situations where it's like, what are you gonna do when you don't have what you want? How are you gonna win these fights?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I used to win the fights before by, like making sure I built towards somebody and then make sure I get a one pump because I couldn't find shields early game. Now I don't have that option. And that's why I felt so clunky for the longest time, because you don't get shields on drop sometimes, but you still need to win. And your options are more limited now because you're going to take 70 damage if you're going to win a fight. Like, people are just going to hit you. It's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I remember running around with 20 health in regular solos with no siphon, and I'm like, I've got my pump shotgun though.
Yep.
So if I get in this moment, I might be able to one pump. I might be able to get away with this. Like, let's hope for the best. Come on, baby.
Yeah.
But if you miss it, you're done. But now I'm definitely done. You know what I mean? Now I'm definitely gonna die. Like, I don't expect to be able to one shot my way out of something.
Yeah. So like that's my thoughts on like season 9 up to this point. It's like, I'm not a big fan of the POIs. I love the meta. I do like it without the one pumps. It is better. It is funner.
Like, the game feels fun. Like a week in, I don't know, man. I'm having fun playing Fortnite. Like, I'm liking a lot of it right now.
It's just the biggest thing, the biggest issue, and we all knew it was going to be this when it came back. It's the drum gun. Like you said, you want to vault the drum gun. I want to vault the drum gun. Everybody wants to vault the drum gun, except for the majority of the community that voted it back. They're the only problem standing in our way from not having the drum gun in this game.
I can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand what people like about it so gosh darn much. Like, it's just not. It's not that fun to use. It's a horrible mid range. Like, I can't hit anything really well with it, and it's annoying to spray with it, but it works. It just works, but it doesn't feel good. I don't know. I hate it.
Without getting into the aim assist thing, I think that the vast majority of players are controller players in Fortnite. I think the console community is a lot bigger than we give it credit for. Yeah. And I think that
that's right.
Players being able to run around and not even needing an aim assist, just being able to hit fire without having to like left trigger, just being able to like just shoot and right trigger while they're running. I think the vast majority of people who play this game play it that way versus the people who actually like aim in. I would say that people like that are probably 40% of console players aim in, because I've played against them and I see a lot of those console players just hip firing no matter what. Like, they're just hip firing, and this gun works for that.
I like cross-platform is a beautiful dream, but I think it needs to end. It's a beautiful dream. It's like it's a utopian dream, and it's not real. It's just I'm sorry, it's just not real yet. We need to find a way to separate aim assist from PC lobbies completely.
Sure.
Like, if it's a PC lobby, I don't care if you plug in a controller. See this?
I didn't want to get into this aim assist conversation. Damn it! Every time
you can't. Not, I know, though, man. It's so infuriating, and it like. I get that. Oh yeah, but I can't edit as fast. It's not like you can't trade advantages. That doesn't work. You can't just trade advantages. That's not the way advantage works. Like, you need to find a way to balance it for everyone in a real way, in a real competitive way, especially.
I think the point,
it's not worth me playing with PS4 players to be able to have that as an issue. Like, I don't. There's enough PC players and there's enough PS4 players. They can play in different playgrounds. Like,
sure. I think the point I'm trying to get at is like the game is super casual, and it's way more casual than we give it credit for.
That's true.
And the drum gun is the casuals like bread and butter, man. It is the casuals bread and butter. You can hit fire, do, in the past, as we're about to talk about, 52 damage to the head, just bam, 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 casually feeling like you did a good thing. All right, now I get it off and do my, intro to arithmetic for the night, whatever that is. So I drum gun needs to go, and the meta's in a good place. But let's talk about patch 9.1.
Yeah, let's do it.
The first new patch ever since the thing has been updated. Let's talk about the weapons and items real quick. Brand new weapon being introduced in patch 9.1. The tactical assault rifle, available in rare, epic, and legendary variants. Available as floor loot, chests, supply drops, and vending machines. Is a fully automatic weapon with a 30-round magazine. Deals 22 damage, 23 damage, and 24 damage based on its variants. With a headshot multiplier of 1.75, this weapon has a tight spread in close quarters, but is less effective at long range when compared to other assault rifles. TAC AR, Flood.
I'm loving it. I don't know why I'm loving it, but I'm loving it, and I feel like this is what the drum gun should be. get rid of the drum gun, use this. Just get rid of the drum gun.
Yeah.
We don't need it. This fills that void. Now, granted, it uses light ammo, and it's a AR that uses light ammo, which I didn't even realize at first. I just didn't even notice because I'm kind of a dum-dum, I guess.
Yeah.
But I like the way it feels. Something about it just works for me. It feels like it fits that space that it's supposed to fit really, really effectively. Every now and again, I've tried to shoot someone further, and it's not great, obviously.
Yeah.
But when you're close up or you're in like a build fight, even if you're shooting a couple flat panels away or whatever, it feels correct somehow. It just feels better to use than a regular AR in that instance. It feels like it's fitting a niche that I enjoy. It doesn't feel overpowered as far as I can tell so far. I really like it.
I kind of agree with all of that. I'm absolutely in love with this item. This is something, it's a very well designed item from the goals that they're trying to accomplish. I think it could do a little bit more damage to make me happier, but again, I'm comparing that to the drum gun, and like this thing does not stack up against the drum gun. So if this thing is, I think this thing works as a secondary to the drum gun. You definitely don't want to fight it with a primary fight against the drum gun. I think the headshot multiplier is all right. I would like a little bit higher on the headshot multiplier just because this thing is considered tactical. It's supposed to like reward people who can like aim. This is not a bloom item. Even when you're spraying this thing, you're not going to get a lot of bloom. So I would love the headshot multiplier to be actually increased because of that, because you're not going to get people who, you know, are getting random headshots because they're holding down mouse one, kind of like the Scar, where people would be body shotting you. And then all of a sudden you just get like a boom, a tick of headshot damage
you're not
because
that first shot accuracy on this. Like it's a little bit different, not quite the same anyway. Do you get first shot accuracy?
You do get first shot accuracy.
The crosshair is a little bit.
The crosshair is wonky. I think their design team.
I was wondering if that meant that maybe we weren't getting true first shot.
I think it is first shot accuracy. I don't see how they add an assault rifle that doesn't have that. But I'd have to. I'm pretty sure I see it like lock in, like it does that little click, you know.
Yeah.
But the design team on the crosshair or whatever, they dropped the ball. It's a little off there. I love the item, man. I love it. It's great. This is an item that I really feel is targeted at a competitive scene. You know, when people are deciding whether or not to run an AR or SMG, you really don't have to make that choice anymore. Run the TAC assault rifle. This also helps people in competitive, where one person can be running a medium type ammo with like a regular AR, and then their teammate could be running a tactical AR, so they're not crossing their loot pools. This also, it works being a light ammo in the realm where the drum gun is here, taking up all the medium-sized ammo too, because you can't run an AR and a drum gun. You're going to run out of ammo pretty fast. You can kind of get away with running both of them now because of this.
100%. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just good.
Yeah, I would say, and this is kind of a weird, like talking about the TAC AR in the wake of getting the combat shotgun, two brand new items in a row.
Yeah,
that are precision based but do less damage, where they want you to like be more accurate and actually be, a competitive player or like be a good player to use them effectively. But they give us less damage than anything else based like with that. So I don't know what to think. Like, what do they want us to do?
I mean, that in my head, a lot of that is good. The problem is there's still existing issues with previous weapons. Like again, the goddamn, I'm saying the word drum gun so many times that I'm sick of it. But that's kind of the issue. Maybe the SMG needs a little tweaking too. But like, we're in a world where the regular ARs are some of the least desirable weapons in my mind right now, and that's unfortunate because I like shooting with them. They're my favorites. But we've discussed this, and you've got some ideas on that, but and how maybe we could fix that. But I think that this is the right move. We're power creeping in a different direction. We're power creeping down, and I think it's a good thing. But we need to ease the player base into it. Maybe I don't know what the problem is or what the answer is. But I like both of these new items. I like because they're rewarding better play. And I think that's what I ultimately want. So you just need to get rid of round off these edges of the old items that are still silly. And it'll be good.
See, what I love about this is how I think they can like fix like the ARs. And I think we should just jump into that like real briefly.
Yeah. I liked your idea on this. I want to hear it.
It's just this gun doesn't have a lot of bloom on it. And I think you do need, you do need bloom in this game because of the type of game it is. It's not like other shooters. So I can respect that they want bloom in there. But the AR bloom on all these guns they have now is just way too big. The ARs really don't fit into the metas at the moment because of the amount of bloom you have. I think that they need to tighten up the bloom across the board. I'm not saying it has to be as tight as a tactical AR, but the reduction in bloom, like outright, will really reward players who want to use an AR over a SMG type of weapon so that they can get like the 70 headshots and stuff from the Scar and the blue AR and stuff. Reducing bloom makes for a more competitive game. And I get really frustrated when I can tell someone's aiming at my body and they just got a bloom headshot on me. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, bud. Like
Yeah.
it seems
It's
like
nice when I get lucky
counterintuitive.
too.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive. But I think a reduction in bloom, you'll see less headshot damage too from players who just don't deserve it. You know?
And it's funny because what we were talking about the combat shotgun in the past earlier, like off stream, I think, or off this recording.
Mhm.
And I think you're 100% right. I'd like to see the headshot multiplier on that combat shotgun go up a little bit. And that's the kind of thing that I want across the board. Maybe is a little less bloom, maybe a little bit more reward on headshots.
Yep.
Again, reward the skill shots a little bit more and make them a little less random. And I think that everyone wins when you do that.
I know a while ago there is someone who got hired, and I wish I would have had this information for this podcast because I knew we were going to be talking in this vein. There is someone who got hired at Epic that has taken over kind of like the design of how the gunfights are going to be flowing and stuff. And I think these two guns are a representation of his thought process about how guns should operate in games. And like the meta feels better because these two types of guns reward players who want to do better and focus on doing better.
I think they're a huge move in the right direction and the future of the way that battles are going to work. And I'm really excited about the current direction of the weapons.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're on the right track. Other than, again, that stupid community-driven goddamn vote.
We suck as a community. Stop taking our advice, all right?
Related to that, actually, I don't know if we were going to talk about this or if it was coming up in the patch notes, but the recent voting questionnaire surveys or whatever.
Oh,
have you seen these?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so every now and again in the game, and it's only happened to me one time, but in my community it's been brought up a couple times, and I got a different question, which is interesting. My question was, how do I feel about the epic and gold and purple rarity infantry rifles in the game right now on a scale of 1 to 5? And I give it a 5 because I like that gun a lot.
Yeah, that is a
but
5.
Someone else got, I can't remember what their question was. It was related to the SMGs or the Tommy gun, I think, or the drum gun rather. So they're clearly now polling the community directly in game, and it's seemingly random. Like it just popped up after one of my games one time, and that's the last I saw of it.
I've gotten one of these before. I think I know. I got confused about first.
Yeah, I think they're going around. So I think that community polling, and I don't know if they're just doing this so they can back up their decision bases when they make updates. Now they can say, well, this many of the community voted at this. Like, I don't know if that's the impetus for this, but are you excited that they're asking us questions in this way?
Yes and no. I do think that you need to take community input. I think that there are good ideas in the community, but I'm not one of these people who say a developer should listen to community. I think the developer should listen to certain people in the community who play a lot and they feel have a good grasp on like how gameplay should kind of flow, and they're just not shooting from the hip on their feelings about like, oh, I want this to work out better for me. Overall, I think the community is pretty trash in terms of like game knowledge and how they feel, what they feel the game should do for them. You know, I'm just like, and I think that the drum gun is a little bit representative of this. I don't think that the drum gun coming back is good game design. I think it's pandering, and I don't think that companies should listen to the community that tightly.
I agree 100% on that. That's interesting. And you know what's funny about that is I do think that even from the casual to the pro, I think community feedback can often be bad. Even the pro players, because they've got very different desires and motivations behind what they want in the game. They want certain things to be very stable. A game designer, on the other hand, as you're pointing out in my mind, is going to think about the flow of the movement of the game, the way that the fight feels, etc. And that's what they need to be focused on. And they need to be giving us what will bring us there, not what we think will bring us there. They need to know that, and they need to impose that upon us. Yeah. And we'll get used to it and we'll like it if it's correct.
Like I say this on my stream, you know, and we should probably have a disclaimer at the beginning of this podcast. Don't listen to me, Epic. I'm an idiot. All right. I'm an idiot. Yeah. I got my opinions. You know, this is the way I feel. This is my emotions. I'm passionate about the game. So I talk about my ideas for the game, but I am not to be listened to under any circumstances, any serious rooms. All right. Don't do it. Just like,
put down your notepad, Epic game designers. Stop. I know you're listening to them like it's gospel, but
just like briefly look at each other and like, what the is this guy doing? Just shut up. And look, I would understand. I just do this stuff because I love it. But like, I'm not a community member who wants to be listened to. I think my ideas are good, but I think they're horrible at the same time. Okay.
Yeah. They're ideas that maybe you throw into the bin, but like, and let them roll around, but maybe
Yeah.
they're, don't take them all for gospel.
Except for my game idea on how the game, the
10 build
recyclable
thing.
build system, the game mode where we only have 10
I
builds.
want to try that mode so bad.
That's
And
a
if you guys
stroke of
don't know what we're
genius.
talking about, the idea is that you recycle your same 10 builds. You can never build more than 10, but you don't use materials. You just build a wall, and when you build your 11th wall, your first wall that you build just disappears randomly.
Just goes away.
Gone. So that fixes all the FPS issues in the game. It fixes dealing with materials farming. It fixes a few weird things in a really interesting and unique way.
Stroke of genius.
I want to just try it. I just want to
swan song.
It. And this is a Drnkie idea that I'm like, that could be neat.
That's my swan song of idiot ideas.
It seems insane, but I like it.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the next change to the weapon items in patch 9.1.
Mm-hmm.
They have reduced the health of the baller from 200 to 150, with Epic explaining it to us. The primary goal of the baller is to provide fun and exciting mobility. We feel that this still has a little too much defensive agency, and this change should reduce the effectiveness. There will not be impacting its strengths. While not impacting its strengths. I'm sorry. Real quick, this is the second time I've heard them say the word agency within a week on two different things. So there's a buzzword going on over at Epic Games, just a little, inside baseball there.
Indeed.
All right, what do you think about the baller getting reduced?
You know what? I think this is fine. Again, this is fine. It's getting really weak. I'm terrified now to use a baller without having a glider redeploy in my inventory. I think that's a necessity if you're going to use a baller, and I take extreme glee in popping ballers out of the sky now. Like, I will always target ballers now on the off chance that I kill someone with fall damage, because that's hilarious to me. You don't get in one without glider redeploy or stay real close to the ground, my friends, because that 150 is nothing. That's a heavy snipe shot, as I think you pointed out. Like, it's absurd. If I've got my infantry rifle out, I'm just bang, bang, bang. You're done.
It's just a bang bang, dude. That thing does like 80 damage.
So nuts. It's crazy weak. And at this point, honestly, with all the slipstreams and stuff, I don't even know what ballers are still doing in the game. Who is, like, why?
Yeah.
They're honestly unnecessary. And I hate saying that because I still love swinging with them. But I'm actually really sick of the previous nerf where they nerfed the spawn rate. If they still had 100% spawn rate and were this weak, they would never have been a problem. But now I go somewhere thinking there might be a baller and it's not there. And I wish I'd ran to the slipstream. Run to the slipstream, guys. Like, it's reliable. It's 100% there all the time. They're still dealing with old issues on the ballers. They need a 100% spawn rate, and I'll still use them. But they're still unique. They're still fun. They're a really fun movement. I really enjoy the movement. But I need to sacrifice an item slot because I'm not going to use them safely without glider redeploy. So now they're actually at a really interesting place in my head, at least. I don't know what the competitive landscape is doing with them. Maybe there's a stack of them in the last circles still, but I'm very doubtful.
I will 100% say that this strikes at the competitive game again. If you're watching it, it is still 10 ballers in lobbies. It's just
how,
because people are protecting it. Like, you can sit in your baller inside of a 1x1, protect it, and when you need to use it, you can go to the next one, and then the people don't have a chance to break them because they're either rotating for zone or they're fighting other players who aren't in the baller. It's a design. It's a product of its design, and they're not going to be able to fix it. Even with 150 damage, I still think you're going to see a lot of them in game. These pro players are better than the dev team gives them credit for in terms of being able to hide these ballers and the nooks and crannies and get them to the end game. I was watching Ghost Bizzle over the last weekend in the solo qualifiers. He qualified for the second day of play.
He's an animal.
Without using any guns, and he did it because he was in ballers and like he didn't have to fight anybody. He used traps and stink bombs, but the majority of it was being able to use a baller, which he used to go to top 2, like 2 games, maybe 3 games. I was watching, like, it's
that's
just
hysterical. I wish I'd watched those.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
it's just like I don't think the 150 damage is gonna make a difference either, but maybe it will. Maybe it will. I don't know
what? And that comes back to it. And I hate to say it because, as I say, I do love using them, but maybe it's just time to get rid of them. We've got slipstreams. We don't need the vehicle anymore. Like, the vehicles are now more irrelevant than ever.
Yep.
And that's kind of a good thing.
It is a good thing. I hate vehicles in Fortnite. I hate them.
Yeah.
I've never liked a vehicle in Fortnite. I thought the shopping carts were really fun, but they were really slow, and it was it was there to have fun and to meme.
It was a meme. It was a novelty item.
Yeah. Same with the golf thing, the golfing carts, the old ATKs. Those were not overpowered. Those were fun to move around in a squad and to have fun little things happening. And now we're in a place where we have the quad crashers and the ballers, which are both, in my mind, very overpowered. If you don't think a quad crasher flying in the air across the map, you can go from one end of the map over to the other faster than anything in this game. Anything. Yeah. That's overpowered.
It's time to retire
it's
the vehicles,
overpowered, bro.
Yeah.
And
or bring back the ATK. That was great.
It was fun. So I think we're at a place with a baller where it's like we're nerfing it to the point of why is it in the game?
Oh, and I actually don't mind drift boards still. I don't know why. They're still cool.
I don't mind them, but I'm still like, interesting.
They don't feel overpowered though. They feel correct somehow.
The vehicles have been disabled for tournament play over the weekends because there's bugs on getting out of them, which is like, how did we get a bug on exiting vehicles? What did we do? What did we change?
Oh, vehicles. Always a problem.
All right, let's move on to the drum gun adjustments. The drum gun has its base damage reduced from 26 and 27 down to 22 and 23, a reduction of quick math 4. Since it's unvaulting, the drum gun's effectiveness has been slightly higher than we wanted. This change should reduce its combat effectiveness while still retaining its flavor. If I saw someone send this to me in an email, I'm walking over their office and like throwing my laptop at the wall, bro. That is such a horrible sentence to read and be like, what are we doing, bro?
It's so absurd. Just vault it. Just vault it. Just vault it. Just vault it.
It's not like, since I'm vaulting, the drum gun's effectiveness is slightly higher than when we wanted it. What did you want it higher before when you vaulted it? I don't understand. It's the same gun.
Did you miss season 5 or whatever it was last summer? Did you forget? Like what?
And what flavor do they want? Like, what are they just dumping salt in their tongues? I don't understand,
nonsense.
Bro.
It's that whole everything about the drum gun since it's the potential even for it to be brought back has been nonsense.
Yeah, I part of me feels like, again, this is my thing where I'm like, Epic, I'm an idiot, I'm a moron. Don't listen to me. Are you balancing these items based on everyone having 200 effective health? Is that what it is? Because a lot of the times we're running around with 75 health. We can't find bandages. We can't find shields. We can't find campfires. Can't find mushrooms. Can't find apples. Can't find coconuts. Can't find bananas. There's times where we can't find this stuff. And we're running around with 75 HP trying to get to the next zone. And someone can just two-tap you with the drum gun like that.
Stop balancing for Siphon when most of us aren't using it and when we're not playing arena mode.
Man, thank you, Flood. Thank you. Drum gun gets me fired up, man. This item gets me like hot inside. It really does.
I'm legitimately getting sick of saying the word right now. Like I've said it so many times, and like I think the vitriol dripping off of my voice every time I say it. Like I just vault it.
All right, next up, the combat SMG. Make it go away. Due to the recent addition of the drum gun and the thank you. I got confused when I read this at first because I thought the silence SMG got nerfed or vaulted.
I know.
So the P90 has been vaulted. Due to the recent addition of the drum gun and the brand new tactical assault rifle, we wanted to reduce the availability of high rate of fire weapons. So long, my friend, the P90.
Yeah,
we had to use you.
Yeah, this is so stupid in my head because honestly, I feel like the P90 wasn't in that bad of a place. Like it had weird niche usage, but it wasn't getting picked up that often because it wasn't that good at anything else. I get that we now have the tactical AR, which kind of fills that slot and it fills it better, but you're gonna get rid of the compact SMG instead of the goddamn drum gun like that.
Yeah,
too many high rate of fire items. The drum gun couldn't possibly be the problem. Are you joking? Like that's absurd. It's actually absurd. I don't care about the compact SMG in this way. Like it's weird that it's gone, I guess, but I don't care that much.
Part of me feels like Epic knows how bad the drum gun is, but they can't take it out of the game because they're too close to the unvaulting event, and there's going to be too many people like upset about it. They're not going to win the fight if they vault it. All the casuals are going to be super upset about it, and so they're just in a bad position. And so the P90 had to, say goodbye to us.
That's actually a really good point. Is like it's too close to the unvaulting event. Like when we unvaulted, was that permanent or is that like what's their thinking on that? You know what I mean? In terms of is it a permanent unvaulting or does it mean you get it back for 2 weeks and now it's gone again? Thank God. Or what are you doing with me?
I would like to see. I don't know. It seems like it's going to be something where it's like every season we vote on a unvaulting event because the device that we unvaulted with, the big set piece, is still there. It's actually hooked up to like wires and like there's a big black tube running out of it now that's hooked up to
Yeah,
the
it's
Neo
powering.
tilted.
It's
Yeah.
powering tilted.
So it
New
feels
tilted.
like it's going to be something that we go back to. And so maybe we have to live this season with drum gun until we involve another item.
That's too long. That's too long. A
It is
season
too
is
long.
too long. It's
It is
already
too
been
long.
too long. It's been too long. You can keep the SMG if you want to, the compact SMG vaulted. That's fine, but just bring the drum gun along with it. Now
Yeah.
everyone can have a really lovely meta with the new AR. Like,
Yeah. So if
get
I
outta
take the
here.
drum gun out of my mind, I think this is kind of something they might be striking at that they did with the grenades and the clingers. Every time they unvault the grenades, they vault the clingers every time,
Yeah.
and vice versa. Maybe that's an interesting thing where it's like, all right, we're gonna vault the P90 and bring in the TAC AR, and maybe they rotate that next season so that they can continuously shift the meta with guns that are like kind of similar, but also have different little flavors and flares to them that
They're
make
supposed to fill that specific that niche, but they do it a little differently.
Yeah.
That's fine, and that's fair, and that's interesting. I'm okay with that. I think.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm just getting a headache from saying drum gun.
Stop saying drum gun so much, all right?
Oh, I hate it so much.
All right.
Even nerf. It's not even a good nerf. Ugh.
Next up, the gameplay section of the patch notes. These slipstream adjustments. Slipstreams no longer block buildings. This is from Epic. Trying to build up to get into a slipstream should be easy and intuitive experience. We noticed some cases where players would build up to the slipstream, but due to the build restrictions, would take a leap of faith and not make the jump. This should make getting into the slipstreams easier. Players flying in a slipstream will destroy the player object built when they collide with it. Also, slipstreams will now be disabled after the storm phase 5. We've seen a number of cases where the slipstreams cause issues during late game circles, primarily around getting pulled into the storm unexpectedly. Since the value of the slipstream mobility is limited in those scenarios, we feel it's better to simply disable them. That's pretty big changes to the slipstream's functionality.
Yeah, the first one I kind of alluded to earlier, and I think that their wording in the patch notes actually made me smile. We're talking about making that leap of faith, because that's very much what it felt like every time you'd build up close, but you couldn't build any closer. You'd jump and you'd be like, "No, what? I didn't make it, no!" And then you'd take,
Man, Flood, it's almost like we need a wider field of view to really tell where our character is in relation to the map.
Oh God, I'm so sick of that one too. I really want that FOV, man. I really want a wider FOV. That one's driving me crazy as a human being. Like, there's so many instances in this new map and the new POIs and stuff where I can't handle, and because especially we've got so much verticality lately, because people are flying in on these slipstreams, that the FOV is worth it.
Dude,
anyway, it's more
you know how many
annoying than
times
ever.
I thought that I could have sworn for the longest time, I was like, man, they made it so you had to be closer to these builds before you can edit them. It's just to field of view. It's just when I was running stretch, my character was actually closer, even though, I could see more. Like it's been a brain thing.
It's making me crazy. But the slipstream change of being able to build into them and having the player build structures destroyed when you go through them has been great. That part is perfect. I'm totally down. Turning the slipstreams off after the 5th circle is interesting. In my head at first, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's no problem. The 5th circle is like really small. Who's using a slipstream at that point? And you probably aren't. But I played a squad game the other night and I was like, oh, this is 5th circle. Okay. I was surprised. And it was weird that they were off, sort of, because you become used to them really quickly. And it felt weird that they weren't there. And when you're going to live in a world where I'm not using the baller anymore because I don't need to, and I've got the slipstream and I'm relying on that, it does limit you in terms of, I don't know, it's weird. It's just weird. Like, when I expect to be able to use it and it's not there, I'm like, oh, rats. And I don't have enough build to be able to deal with it. I don't have any other way of dealing with it. If I have to jump up a mountain or something, like half the time I'm using a slipstream, I'm just going in and out to gain some high ground, or like to just do a quick jump up high. Like, it's a really fun little movement. It's not all about traversing the map.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is exactly why they did it. Like, being able to take high ground off people because you're like able to like jump in a slipstream real quick for a split second. So now you have all that height. I like them disabling it. I've seen some videos already where some people didn't realize they got turned off. So I don't know. I haven't seen them turned off. I haven't paid attention after Storm 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was like a big sound indicator telling you that they're getting turned off, or they just kind of stop. I've seen some people that go to jump off the big floating platforms and just go right down to the ground. They're not getting lifted off anymore up to those floating platforms. Yeah, that's
But
a
you can
good
get
one.
trapped on the floating platform. That's very funny.
Yeah, right. You
I
can get
didn't think
trapped up
about that.
there.
That's never occurred to me. That hasn't happened to me yet. But that's very funny.
I think my biggest thing about this is actually a pretty quick reaction from Epic on something that was pretty game breaking and could have gone on for a long time. Where in the past they kind of took a while to address issues. They jumped
Hmm.
on this one right away and said, "Yeah, that's wrong. We got that wrong. We didn't think about this. We're gonna change it." And I think it's a good change.
That's an exciting paradigm.
Yeah.
Let's hope they keep working on that.
Yeah, it'd be nice. And I don't know if I think I know. I think it's like what you said. I think I know where Storm 5 is in my head, but I don't think most players know what Storm 5 or Phase 5 of the
Hmm.
storm is.
Well, I don't count the storms. I don't think about it. Every now and again, I'm surprised when I check my map. I'm like, oh, there's this many people left, and the circle's still this big. What's going
Yeah,
on here?
I think
Like that kind of thing happens. But other than that, I'm not really counting the storms. I mean, I'm not that level of player. I don't
I
care.
think Phase 6 is the last storm you have before you have moving circles.
Hmm.
And so I think that's where it's tight. And there were some really wonky areas that we're kind of in like zipline territory where you're close to the storm, you accidentally get into it, now you're thrown into the storm, you're just
It
taking that
makes sense
damage.
that it's happening. I
Yeah.
think they might need to figure out an indication method, or especially on the platforms,
Hmm.
or maybe the platforms can go lower or something. I don't know what you do with the platforms. That's an interesting one. I didn't think about them, and
Yeah.
that is definitely an issue.
I love being able to build in these things now. I've already seen some really great clips of people who are setting up turrets inside of the
Oh, that's
slipstreams.
hilarious.
And I'm just like, yes, yes, like bring it all down. Like, let's just burn
And
it all.
that's the best part about this is there's so many people playing it. There's so many people who are doing it for the clips and to get their creator codes and going on and all that jazz. That like if it can be done, it will be done. People will find a way in this game. Like
Yeah,
if
they
it
will.
can be, it will be.
Let's talk about these performance issues after we're moving on from gameplay. Improvements made to level streaming performance on all platforms. This will reduce the cases of buildings not loading in. Also, physics optimizations to improve performance in conduits. I think that's what they mean. The slipstream. I don't know what conduits are
Probably, yeah.
because they would get a
Maybe.
little weird sometimes. Performance overall. I don't know about you, but this game, this last season, I'm getting more hitches. I'm getting more weird lag parts. When I'm ADSing, I go to ADS on people and I'm getting these weird lag hitches that
Mhm.
I never used to get.
Mhm.
You know,
Especially at range. But I
this
mean,
is
yeah.
such a good patch in terms of what they're doing gameplay wise, especially with the weapons, the items, and the vaulting and adjustments. The game still feels like it's in a bad spot performance wise.
I
And I don't
haven't
know when we're going to get that fixed, man.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been getting the melted buildings thing. I only got it like very intermittently. I saw it like a couple times where tilted was like melted or whatever. And I know what they're talking about. I've seen that.
Mhm.
And my brother, for example, was getting it all the time. And I mean, we have run different setups, so maybe one driver is different than the other or whatever
Sure.
it was that was causing it. But it makes the game literally unplayable. So I'm glad that they've solved that. I think from the sounds of this. At the same time, I could sure use more frames. Always.
Yeah.
Give
I
me more
just
frames, please. And weird hitches are always a problem. I don't get that many weird hitches other than at distance. When I'm
mm,
distance shooting, ADSing at someone, and it's often with balls and stuff. It'll be here and then here and then here and then here, and then I'm like, I don't know how to shoot this.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know where they come from. I just know that I come from a place long ago that we used to call season 2 where I would get, massive frames that were never they never fluctuated. It was a solid game. This game was in a solid state. It ran smooth.
Yep.
And I know that they're making adjustments to performance. They say they're getting better. There's more and more and more. But I'm still getting problems, man. The melted building look. We had that back in the old seasons with the old Dusty.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, and that happened with soccer field too. Like there are like some relics in the past that would do this, but overall, man, I don't know why it's so hard to get this game running smoothly again. It's like it just feels like they keep duct taping it, duct taping it, duct
Yeah.
taping it,
And I
and it's
mean,
just not
that's what
smooth
happens
anymore.
to a lot of projects, I think. And it's just a shame because I really would like to see this get optimized before almost anything else, especially right now. I kind of don't mind the meta horribly.
Yeah.
I would even wait. I would take more frames and more optimizations over the vaulting that I keep mentioning. If it like, we can postpone that if we can get those frames down, baby. Like work on that, like
Yeah.
that, and continue to work on the sound, continue to work on the optimizations to keep the game running as smooth as possible for as many PCs as possible. And if it means getting rid of crossplay, do it.
How dare you?
Do it.
How dare you? All right. That is patch 9.1. We've gone through all of it, anything that's relevant to the Battle Royale part of Fortnite. And that's going to do it for episode 35. You got anything else?
No, I'm just trying to think if we missed anything from season 9 that we didn't cover from last week's patch. But I mean, I think we've discussed it all. Everyone's had a chance, hopefully, to have a look at the game. I'm excited about season 9 in general, and I'm not usually excited about seasons. Everyone's like, "Are you excited about the next season?" I'm like, "Well, it's just going to be the same thing, but with more stuff that's going to change." But like, it always just changes incrementally throughout the season. It's just one big new battle pass or whatever. But I like season 9. I'm excited about season 9. I like some of the new stuff that's happening, and I just it's John Wick Day. We didn't talk about John Wick Day.
Let's talk about John Wick real quick.
Today's John Wick Day.
The new game
John
that's
Wick
in the
3 comes out in theaters. Woo! Not a sponsor. But they are seemingly a sponsor of Fortnite right now. We've got the new realistic John Wick skin, a couple new emotes, a sledgehammer thing.
The high def John Wick, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, that HD John Wick. Ooh,
yeah. So they released a new LTM today called Wick's Bounty. Every player begins with several golden tokens. For eliminating an enemy player pays out all the tokens that the target was carrying. The first squad to reach a specified gold token count wins the match, 500. The limited respawning, each player has 3 lives in this game mode. The more token a player is carrying, the more visible on the map they will be when moving and shooting. The top 3 token leaders will have their location shown on the map and on the compass at all times. Wick's Bounty, man, I don't know if you've had time to play around with it, but they went all in on the John Wick just like they did the Avengers. New game mode, new skins. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I think that's really, really cool. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. That, based on the description and from what I've seen, like, it sounds actually like a pretty fun idea. I think I'm interested in that. I think it'll be kind of high octane and it'll be kind of fun, and it actually kind of pays homage to the movies in enough ways that I'm down with it. I like everything they're doing with this, honestly. Other than possibly, like, I insta bought the John Wick skin. I'm not gonna lie, because I was feeling the hype. I was
sitting here while you did it.
Bang! I couldn't stop myself. At the same time, I have season 2 John Wick.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna. I don't know why. I never use him.
You don't want to be running around with the season 2 John Wick right now,
dude. I think you only want to be running around with that. That's unique now. Give him all the John Wick emotes, and I don't know, like, it's because it's more unique, right? I was like, they can't bring back the John Wick skin because, like, that's a battle pass skin. They never bring back battle pass skins. Instead, they just made an HD version of it. I don't know how I feel about that. That's a little, like, maybe they could add
it. I feel good about it.
I don't know. It's weird. It's a little bit, that part of it is a little bit weird. But how do you do a John Wick event without giving us John Wick? So
yeah, and they changed the building that is north of Paradise or east of Paradise. To match that. Everyone's like, that's John Wick's house. Now we have the John Wick skin. So like it's come full circle. John Wick has 2 buildings in the game of Fortnite. I think I had the same problem when the Avengers event was going on, and kind of with the Marshmallow too. It's just like, I kind of feel like Fortnite has lost its creative innocence because now we're like blending real world things into Fortnite. It's like we talked about it when the Marshmallow happened. Fortnite's a platform now for people to like advertise to us.
It's an
and
advertising
like
platform. Yeah,
I don't know
if this is anything other than an ad / money making venture.
I don't know how hyped up I am on that, man.
I do like that it started off, like, I'm assuming innocently. Like, I think the original season 2 John Wick skin just happened to look enough like John Wick that everyone just called it John Wick.
Oh, they did it.
And then the executives were smart enough to realize, oh, hey, they've got why don't we just make a little cross thing? Let's see if we can work out a deal. I like that happened because I feel like maybe it actually happened kind of organically. I want to believe that. And if it did, yes. If not, and it was all calculated from the beginning, I'll be kind of sad, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them pulling other stuff into Fortnite. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I'm a curmudgeon. I don't know. I've been accused of that in the past. You're not going to be wrong.
You're definitely a curmudgeon. Yeah.
Okay. But like I mean,
not necessarily on this, but you are in general.
We also,
as a human.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. And if I got my girlfriend, she would come on this podcast and say you're a genius for nailing me like that. Coming up, I think we have another crossover event. It's going to be Stranger Things that's coming out in July. There's
some rumors about that.
There is a building inside of the Mega Mall, a shop called Scoops Ahoy, which is from the show Stranger Things. There's a Scoops Ahoy ice cream parlor that everyone worked at. So this is the start of like every like release cycle. We're going to get more and more stuff put into Fortnite, and I feel like we're losing more and more of Fortnite's heart when you do that. But you know.
It's the dangers of advertising. The more a medium becomes advertising oriented, the more people find it disingenuous and or become uninterested over time. Like, you can only keep those eyeballs for so long when we know what you're doing with our eyeballs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And like,
but so for now, I'm still having fun with it though, and I'm actually really excited to see John Wick because I really love those movies. I'm down.
I'm looking for the good of the entire gaming industry because other developers are paying attention. They're paying attention to what's going on.
You're darn right.
And so this is just the start of that. And I think I at least want to be on record saying that like I don't like it. And God damn it, I was here trying to fight the good fight for everybody.
We've had this before though, like people buying billboards in Grand Theft Auto back in the day, and like there's like product placement has always been a thing. It's just never been to this level, I don't think.
This is definitely
integration.
More
this is a whole new element, but at the same time, I cannot buy the cosmetic skins. Like I cannot buy the stuff. Like I don't have to spend the money.
Flood?
It's just
can you? Because I saw you see that John Wick skin, and you're like, I'm buying that right now.
I personally can't, but I, in the philosophical sense, like I personally, as a human, am weak and will purchase.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Maybe that buzzword agency will come up again next podcast on your buying habits.
Either. I don't even know if I'm going to wear the John Wick skin. I've been using Fastball or whatever, the girl with the orange baseball. I love that one. Like I'm all about that one. I'm all about my wizard. But God, I don't know, man. I bought the John Wick. I couldn't help myself. I don't know.
You wish you were John Wick. You wish you were there saving a puppy.
Do you not see my beard and hair? I do wish I was John Wick. I do wish.
You are a Canadian version of Keanu Reeves.
Isn't Keanu Reeves Canadian?
Is he?
I think he is.
No.
Was he originally Canadian? Oh no, I don't know.
I love how I said
maybe I just want to believe it. Maybe I just want him to be. You know what I mean?
think he was. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, he's such a cool guy though, so it seems like he might be.
I mean, he's pale like a Canadian, that's for sure.
We're tough up here in the snow.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's going to do it for episode 35 of the Fortnite Update. Thank you guys for hanging out and listening to us. My name is Drnkie. You can find me on twitch.tv/Drnkie. And my co-host, The Flood.
Twitch.tv/The Flood.
We'll see you guys for episode 36 next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.